بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. I greet our listening audience with the greeting of peace, Assalamu alaikum, and Ramadan Mubarak. That is, peace be upon you, and blessed Ramadan. This is the blessed month of fasting, and I hope and pray that you all are having a blessed month. Today we're looking at chapter 13, verse 4. So we're going to go right to it, that I may not hold you too long. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. With the name Allah, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. وفي الأرض قطع متجاورات, and in the earth, قطع are tracts, tracts of land. We call them tracts. متجاورات, that cross each other. They cross each other, or we could say they run adjacent to each other. These are tracts of land. وَجَنَّاتٌ, and gardens. Jannatun is gardens. Min a'nabin, gardens of vines, grapevines, like vines. And notice the word here, jannatin. Let me just make a comment here for you. Jannatun. Jannatun. Jannatun is the word that's used metaphorically and a word that's used literal, in plain speech. So here it's being used in plain speech because we're talking about gardens of vines, the grapevines. So it would not be a metaphor. Sometimes it's used as a metaphor, speaking of having paradise. We would say paradise. It's a metaphor for paradise. I just want to bring this out for the students, for those that are studying Balagha. So here it's not a majaz. It's not a majaz here, but many times it's used as a majaz. We have to know the difference. But in describing the garden that we're going to describe here, the whole verse could be used as majaz, as a metaphor. وَجَنَّاتٌ مِنْ أَعْنَابٍ وَزَرْعٌ, and zar'un we would think of vegetation, crop. وَنَخِيلٌ, and this is the date palm. نَخِيلٌ sinwanun. Sinwanun are the trees that have two trunks. I mean, they may have one trunk. They may come up, but they have two main trunks. Two main trunks to the tree that share the same roots. It may originate from one, and then it splits off, and the trunk split off becomes two main trunks. So we say in sinwanun. This is the date palm, sinwanun. وَغَيْرُ sinwanin, and those that are without the two trunks, just one branch, one main trunk. Tusqa bima'in wahidin. It drinks Tusqa meaning it is given water from one water, with one water. Where nufadilu and fadl. Fadl is a very rich word in Arabic. So here I'm just going to say for the context, we favor. We favor ba'da has some of them ala ba'din over others. And what has been mentioned. Fi in al-ukali in the eating. In the eating. In the food or in the eating. Inna fi dhalika la ayatin liqawmin ya'qilun. Surely in that, inna fi dhalika, surely in that are signs, or surely signs for a people, surely signs are in that for a people, ya'qilun, who use their intelligence. This verse is a verse that we studied this verse in one of the Mali classes some time ago. We studied this verse. It's a very beautiful verse to take a look at. Now we're going to go straight to the tafsir. I did not write the reflection to this. Let's go to the tafsir. I believe you can understand what we're talking about from what has been presented. And again, this is tafsir Jalalain. Jalalain is short. We get ideas from it for the students, for the Arabic students, that you can follow. It makes it easy for you to follow because they're very short. The comments are very short. They're more than likely abbreviated from what you would read with Ibn Kathir. So it reads, وَفِي الْأَرْضِ كِتَابٌ, and in the earth are tracks. So he's going to give the idea of what this is saying. So to reiterate, the tafsir just helps us understand what is being said. So the lesson here for the Arabic student is that you want to learn how to see Arabic defining Arabic. That helps give you a greater clarity of the reading of the Qur'an in terms of what the Qur'an is saying. Because you're looking at all Arabic. You're looking at Arabic, how it defines Arabic. Arabic words defining other Arabic words. This is the idea of giving more clarity to comprehending what is being said. So he says, Bika'un mukhtalifatun. So Bika'un are patches. These are patches. So he's defining Kita'un with Bika'un. So if you didn't understand Kita'un in Arabic, another Arabic word is Bika'un. These are patches of land. Mukhtalifan, and we said Mukhtalifatun is various or different tracks. Mutajawiratun, that are crossing or adjacent to each other. But he defines mutajawiratun with mutalasiqatun. Mutalasiqatun gives the idea of these are tracks that passes by each other or into each other, tracts of land. You could see this in mountains. This idea is easy to see in mountains where you would have tracts of land and even natural roads from the water that flows down from the mountain. It makes roads. The water makes roads, natural roads, and create these natural tracts of land. But you have it on flat land too. Normally, it's easy to see the land separated by water. Gives us an easy way to cut out. Kita also means cut out. You see how the land is cut out naturally. But since we're talking about water, then water creates this also divides land. فَمِنْهَا طَيِّبٌ وَسَبِخٌ. Thus from it are pure, good tracts of land, وَسَبِخٌ. And we would say swampy or briny type land that it's not good for growth in terms of fruits or vegetables or what have you. But even man is advancing in the sciences and finding ways to grow something even on swampy land with a lot of or watery land that you wouldn't have natural growth from it. Sabekun. وَقَلِيلٌ الرَّيْءُ وَكَثِيرُهُ. And therefore, we would say, a small part of it will yield. It will yield or grow. And some of it, kathiru means a lot of it. So small portions may yield, and you may have greater portions may yield. So you have both, based upon the land, the fertility of the land. So since I mentioned, I know I have a majority, I'm imagining, I have to use my imagination, a majority of African American audience that I'm addressing, and I'm imagining I have a majority from the responses, the majority of Muslims are listening as an audience, but I also know I have some Ghanaians, and these recordings are shared on sites with the Ghanaian people, of which I'm associated with. So I bring their name up to mention them specifically, things about them specifically, because we're working with them to help build a school there. That's our first project with them is to build a school, and we're at the school with the roof. They're working on the roof now, so it's almost completed. If you'd like to donate to the school, you can go to MuslimAmericanLogic.org, MuslimAmericanLogic.org. Click on the donation button and donate to the school. Just put school, Ghana school, in your donation, in your comments. And those of us who are donating to the school, we're going to have all of the names on metal plates on the wall of the school to show those who have donated from America. This is our first step in putting a stake showing that we, from this group, especially from the Mali group, have returned to Africa, and we want to begin working and have a future with Africa. This is not Marcus Garvey's Back to Africa movement, but this is expanding. Nowadays, we are expanding our travels all over the world now. It's easy to find someone who's traveling to some country, vacationing or having a nice time, but we want to return and have impact in Africa, starting with Ghana. It's a good place to start. The people speak English. Many of them speak English. It's easy to get around, and they're good people, good-natured people. But there are a lot of poor people. Not to put them down or embarrass them, but they can benefit from our help. That's not all of them are not poor. but it's a lot of them. So if you'd like to donate, MuslimAmericanLogic.org. And all of the money will go to the school. There's no administration costs. Like some organizations, I don't get paid. I don't take money from it and then send money. You can see pictures. You see the pictures that I can put up on Facebook. And many of the Mali students have seen the pictures of the school that's being established, that's being built. Small school to us, but it's big for them in the city or village, the area that it's built in. Yes. So, getting back to the point, when we talk about Tayyip, it just brought to mind when I was there in Ghana last. For breakfast we would have fruit, and the fruit would be so delicious because they have good fertile land in Ghana. I mean, you can't find a pineapple in America. I can't find a pineapple, just a pineapple in America that will equal the sweetness of a pineapple in Ghana. Rich, fertile land. And we want to work with the farmers there. We want to find a way we can invest with the farmers, to help the farmers in Ghana. Yes, many of the Bisa people are farmers. And we want to help them so they will advance in farming. But we want to be on education, and water. The people should have water, and the farmers. We're not talking about going there and reaping the resources, but benefiting from them and developing a relationship with them and becoming one of them. Believe me, the blessings will come to us. And them also. We can't go there with the European mind to take advantage of people. Yes. So they have very rich land and plenty of land. وَهُوَ مِنْ دَلَائِلُ قُدْرَتِهِ دَلَائِلِ قُدْرَتِهِ تَعَالَى. And it is from, or this is from, the proofs of His power, the Most High. وَجَنَّاتٌ, and gardens, he's saying, basatinun, another word for gardens, bustan, or basatinun, in the plural, basatinun. This is another word defining gardens. Min a'nabin wa zar'un, from the vines and crops. Birraf'i atfan ala jannatin. So this is grammar now for the students studying grammar. It says birraf'i atfan, meaning that he's addressing zar'un. Zar'un, he's saying, is a conjunction to jannatun. Here is jannatun. So let me go back and just show you so it will be clear for you. So if you're reading here, because you have to read it grammatically correct, because the grammar is there to help you understand what's being said. And grammar is very important to understand and study grammar, the grammar of the language. The qawaid, we had the word qawaid. When we talked about Abraham, he built upon the qawaid of the house, the qawaid, the foundation. So this, when we talk about in the Arabic language, we study the forms, how words are formed. It's called surf. Surf is how it is formed in terms of conjugation and the 10 forms. and how all the 10 forms are conjugated. 2 sheets that we use. That's surf. It covers that science. Then we have the science of Nahu. And Nahu is determined by endings of words. How words are in the various endings, but it's grammar. That's grammar proper. And we have a third science now we have Mali offers, is Balaga, the eloquence of the Qur'an, how words are used and expressed, the eloquence in such an eloquent way, in which we study the metaphors and the speech and why the speech is the way the speech is. So this all together is called Qawaid. It's the foundation. That you should have before you begin to build your logic. Your logic should be built upon the foundation or built upon the Qawaid. And that's what we're talking about now, Qawaid. So, Jannatun is in Tanween Dhamma, min a'nabin wa zara'un. So Zara'un is a follower of Jannatun in sequence. And we're using where, so you know where doesn't let us know which comes first. But we have Jannatun wa Zara'un. That's why it's in that. But if we read this, if we say where Zara'in, he's going to explain, then Zara'in will be following at Nabit. So we say gardens of vines and crop. Where Nakhilin, and you can go on putting it in Tanween Kesra, in terms of it being the various gardens. These are all would be various gardens. But the way the Qur'an has it, you have gardens, you have crops, you have the trees, the date palm. They are in conjunction with each other, more so than the vines, in conjunction with them. That's just what I want to show you. Jannatin. So he's saying that it ends in Tanween Dhamma, it's nominative as a conjunction to Jannatin. What al-jarru, and it would be genitive ala a'nabin upon the vines. If it's genitive, if we read this in genitive, without an end. وَكَذَا قَوْلِهِ. And likewise, he's saying, وَنَخِيلٌ, it could be نَخِيلٍ, سِنْوَانٍ. It could be read that way. Now, Sinwanun, he's saying here, Sinwanun, meaning the twin trunks, we could say. The twin trunks. Jam'u Sinwan. It's the plural of Sinwan. Sinwanun is the plural of Sinwan. وهي نخيلات. And نخيلات, and they are date palms. He's putting it in the plural, date palms. يجمعها أصل واحد. So the trunk or أصل واحد. We could say one trunk or one root joins them. They're from the same root, from one root. So the tree, as I explained earlier, Sinwan is showing you that if you look at the tree, you will see I'm specifying the two trunks, because Sinwan is another word for twin. Now, there could be 3 sets of twins, 4 sets of twins, or you call them twins and triplets, so forth and so on. But the idea here is twins, the trunk, two main trunks that share the same root. This is aslun wahidun. They join the trunks. Well, tetasha'abu faru'uha. So its branches, faru'uha, they branch out. They branch out from the two trunks. وَغَيْرُ سِنْوَانٍ مُنْفَرِدَةٌ وَمُنْفَرِدَةٌ, meaning one. That's just one trunk. تُسْقَى بِتَاءٍ, he's saying بِتَاء, تُسْقَى بِتَاء أي جَنَّاتٌ وَمَا فِيهَا. So he's saying the gardens and what is in it. So this tag here, tuska, it would be feminine. He's showing you it's feminine. وَيَا أي الْمَذْكُورُ. If it's the ya here, if you're using the ya, then it's speaking about all of them. Tag, we're talking about the gardens. Ya, we're speaking about everything that's mentioned, the gardens, the vines, everything. If the ya is used. I'm not going too much into grammar. We'll do this in the class. But I'm just showing the students now. I'm just doing this for the students of terms of what's being read. It would get quite tedious to do it now, especially having many of you who do not know Arabic. He's saying, and the same here, he's saying this nufadilu could be with the noon and or the ya, with noon or ya. بعدها على بعد في الأكل بالضم كاف وسكون سكونها. So this could have the dhamma on the calf or a sukoon. Or say aklun. Aklun, uklun, it could be a sukoon or dhamma in pronunciation. فَمِنْ هُلْوٍ وَحَامِدٍ, meaning they are sweet and sour. The eating could be nice, sweet, and the others could be sour. Sour, the speaking more of the fruit. وَهُوَ مِنْ دَلَائِلِ قُدْرَتِهِ تَعَالَى, and again, this is from the proofs of his power. This is showing the proof of the power of Allah. That though they all come from the same water, this is the idea we're going to be speaking about. From one water, one and the same water in the land. Though the land can be variations in the land, but from the same water that causes the growth of the vegetation, the fruit, the vegetations, what have you, we find that they have different shapes, different forms, different colors, different tastes, the variations of the growth from the earth, though the water is the same. That's the idea here. And this is a sign for those who yatadabbaruna, who contemplates and reflect. And to think, just to think about it. All from one water. So in our presentation here, we're going to be talking about water. The water is like the soul. So we've had this before. That water, we talked about the soul of the feet, the sensitivities. And that the soul of the feet, S-O-L, I think it's S-O-L-E, and the soul, S-O-U-L. Soul, they're both called soul because of their sensitivity, and water is very sensitive, so water is like the soul in terms of its sensitivity. This we covered before. So there's only one human soul. One human soul. So what gives us our variations? Like the plant life. The human being is like the plants. What gives us our variations? though we have one soul, and the plants come from one water. And from that we have the gifts of Allah, keep the soul/water pure, and establish community life upon human essence. This, we talked about the application of what we're talking about now. I like to give some application to what the verse is addressing. That's called fiqh. So we have the commentary and we have the fiqh, the applications. Both of them we have that are very important. The commentary is addressing what is the Qur'an saying? What does it mean? And then how does it apply to our life here, 2018, in America? And more I get to know and understand the Ghanaian people, how does it apply to the Ghanaians? So this one water that feeds the various kinds of plants, causes them to grow, is acting to one soul. In essence, there is only one human soul, and all individual souls are expressions that branches off from that one soul, the human soul. We know nafsin wahida, one soul. We're all made from one soul, the nafsin wahida. If you can imagine, the child walks in the street, or you find a child in danger, and regardless of the child, just by natural instinct, you can find yourself risking your own life to save the life of the child. You could see, if you were to see a child in a pool drowning, can't swim, and you can't swim, what would make you risk your own life to save the life of the child? Why would you react in such manner? Perhaps it is not the person saving the child and risking its own life. More so, it is the one soul that is rescuing itself. If you can imagine a bottle of water, the bottle of water being all the souls on earth in their original form. It is the form that God created with its human sensitivities. My soul, your soul, everyone's soul is from this bottle with no change in it. But once we become conscious, it is like the water that feeds the various plants, or the vegetation, or the fruit life. See, we spoke about consciousness. Consciousness, once we become conscious, it feeds into the conscience. We pronounce it conscious also. So once we become conscious, now the water begins to feed the human being. So that the water or the soul is the same one soul, but life comes up, we could say, superior or inferior, sweet or sour. What is it that gives us these various situations? It is human aspiration, human interest, that causes us to have the various growth patterns. Whatever our aspiration or interest that we give our soul to, it is God that feeds those aspirations. It is God that causes the soul to become conscious and enlightened. It is God that causes the soul to become conscious. Once it becomes conscious, it's enlightened in its conscience, its conscious intellect, and brings to our attention Allah brings to our attention in the Qur'an, it is He that causes the fruit and the vegetation to grow that we eat. Or is it we that cause it to grow? Even though we may work to cultivate the garden, it is still Allah that causes the growth in the garden. That we must remember. It is Allah that's causing it to grow. And it is Allah that starts the growth in the garden. Likewise, it is Allah that causes the enlightenment in the brain of the human being. Because the brain, that is the garden. Many great scientists have made contributions to civilizations because of Allah leading them to the great discoveries. Many of them, we know, have made discoveries that we benefit from today, but it was not in their plan, or it was not what they were consciously looking for. Too often can we find, even in our own daily life, that what we're consciously looking for, what we're consciously addressing, that we stumble upon something else, we say by accident. And great discoveries have been made by this kind of stumbling, I would say. For one, we know about penicillin. Penicillin was discovered because the scientists, doing an experiment, looking for something, stumbled upon penicillin. From his sandwich, he's eating a sandwich, he set it somewhere, the sunlight caused the bread or whatever to begin to mold. The mold fell off into his experiment, and voila, we have today penicillin that's a benefit for all of humanity. Is it he, the scientist, that brought about the penicillin, or was it Allah? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Let us also recognize the gifts from Allah before we begin the quest to satisfy our aspirations. See, to satisfy our aspirations is like quenching the thirst, right? So, the intellect itself is a gift from Allah. And Allah wants us to use it. This is a phrase that Allah gives us in the Qur'an, that He created the Qur'an. He created the Qur'an. He made it in Arabic. In Arabic, in order that we use our intellect. Reading the Qur'an in the Quranic Arabic language causes us to automatically forces us to use our intellect. He revealed the Qur'an in a manner so that we will always be activating the intellect for understanding. You can't read the Qur'an in Arabic without activating the intellect. I have a friend. He's a friend now, and I'm sure I will have many friends, and I do have many friends that call because the Qur'an has activated their intellect. And they want to know why. Why is it saying this? Why is it like that? Look at this. Look at that. Yes. And believe me, I'm speaking to those who study Quranic Arabic now. There's no way that you can read the Qur'an in Quranic Arabic and not find you a friend. Because it activates the mind, and you want to talk to someone who understands what you're talking about. Yes. Or you'll find yourself every morning during Ramadan making presentations because you need some friends just to explain about what you're seeing in the Qur'an. If you read the Qur'an in the Arabic text with comprehension, and it begins to activate your mind, and you don't share it, the Qur'an itself is going to punish you. Understand that. If you read the Qur'an and it begins to activate your mind, and you do not share with someone what's on your mind, the Qur'an itself is going to punish you. So it is the same water, the same soul, that when it enters into the conscious intellect, it takes on the form of Salim. It takes on the form of John, Khadijah, Susan, etc. Whatever influences, social influences, climate influences, geographical influences, whatever influences are in the environment of the various regions of our human habitats will have a bearing on what makes us different. As we're talking about the land, the adjacent lands. All of us should keep the purity of the soul or the water, because that is what we are addressing in the garden that we produce. The soul is the life. We're addressing the soul. The soul is the life. It is the real life of our culture, our ethnicity, our racial characteristics, our spirit, etc. All of it is but expressions that dresses the soul, or expressions that dress the soul. What we give our attention to for long periods of time, the philosopher says it colors the soul. Whatever we give our attention to, it begins to color the soul, and we just about become that thing. And what is more excellent? What is a more excellent coloring than the coloring of Allah? This is Qur'an. Allah gives us our colors and our expressions. If you dress up the original water for the soul without respect for water, without a love for water, and you are not keeping the content in the excellent human spirit, you are not going to go far in the life. No matter what country, what people, what culture, no matter what or where you are or come from, if you do not keep your human essence as a hunafad, the hunafad is the plural of the word hanif. We have had this discussion already. The hanif, the one who is inclined to do right, to keep the good life. If you do not have respect, if you do not show respect for having pure and good water, then your human essence, that's the human essence, as one who has kept his human essence, you will not go far. The only life that can go far is the original human nature, the pure human nature. That's the only life that can go far. You lose that human nature, you get away from that human nature, believe me, you're not going to go too far. It is this human nature that the founding fathers based the life of every citizen on. And it is the human nature that we Muslims base our life upon. Therefore, we should join the citizens in this country to build and improve the life of this country. Now, I know this doesn't sound good to the racist African American. Yes, you're a racist too. You have a racial consciousness. And believe me, when you take on this racial consciousness, you are deviating from the good human nature that God has given us. When racism is the foundation, you have made that the foundation of your logic. You're not going far with that. It's not going to get you too far. But if we base our life upon the original, good, pure human nature, enjoying a good citizen in this country, to build and improve upon the life of this country, thus it is our responsibility as Khalifa. We discussed the concept of Khalifa, the one who Allah has made responsible in the earth. So it becomes our responsibility as Khalifa to establish Muslim community life in this country. If you understand what I'm saying. If we do not do that, then we will never be afforded the life that Allah invites us to as Muslims. This is the application that I'm giving of what we're talking about today in terms of us being like the plant life. That if we want the benefits of what America invites us to today, then we have to establish a model Muslim community. And if we do not establish our community life in this country, then we will never be afforded the benefits of the life as an American. If we do not establish community life in America, we will not benefit, we will not get all of the benefits that Allah offers us as Muslims. We're not going to get the benefits of the Muslim life being single. You get the benefits of the Muslim life by marrying, having family, and establishing Muslim community life, Muslim communities. And you don't get all of the benefits that America offers you as an American by being single without establishing community life in America. Your own America offers us to be just as diverse as we find the lands that's adjacent to each other. America offers us the same as a people offers us diversity to live next door to each other as communities and benefit and add to the beauty, the mosaic life of the Americans. I thank you for this time, for listening in this morning, and I always pray that you have benefit from what we have said. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The praise, the thanks belongs to Allah, the evolver of all systems of science. Ramadan Mubarak. Have a blessed Ramadan, and peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum.